Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I am here live, just like yesterday.
How dare you?
This type of stream. Hi.
What
Well,
up?
blind/Zelda 2000 if you're on YouTube, and I'm here.
There's no one in the void tonight.
Nope. But that is okay.
Just listening to the volumes.
Andrew's off doing whatever employed people do on Friday night.
Drinking. Drinking all of his memory away. That explains a lot.
Yeah.
Wait, Andrew's literally in chat.
Hi, Andrew. We weren't just talking about you.
Sorry. I just got debated, Alex.
I don't know.
Not drinking, just being sad.
All I said was that he was doing whatever employed people do on a Friday. You're the one who got debated.
I mean, you brought him up first. You summoned him into being.
Okay. I'm doing work to get us an audience.
Surprised? I don't know. I just figured you'd do other things on Friday night. I don't know.
You can listen to a stream in the background of a league game.
I guess.
See, now I called him out.
But he seems like a get on Discord with the boys kind of league player. Andrew's got a hidden posse. Yes, posse.
But yeah, off topic. But what I was saying before when we were starting is there are 3 things I want to do, Orleans. Eat gumbo, because I don't know what this is. Like, I want to eat that because it sounds delicious.
Gumbo's great.
I want
Hunter
to
made gumbo a few
Gumbo a
times.
lot of times
I want to go
has
to a
shrimp in
jazz
it.
club, and I want to go to an old cemetery because they're really unique in New Orleans and they're awesome.
Hunter could make gumbo or jambalaya or whatever.
Stuff in bowl.
Yeah.
Yummy happy time.
Sausage.
I saw it in Princess and the Frog, and I'm like, that looks so good.
That's New Orleans. So yeah, that's full of shellfish.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love
Yeah.
me some shellfish.
I miss being allowed to love shellfish.
I love
Here I have to
shellfish.
hide it.
Is someone allergic?
I'm
What-
allergic.
yeah,
I
Ryan.
can't eat shrimp. Lobster, crab.
Sorry.
That's maybe it. I don't know.
Like, can you be around it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer not to be.
Yeah, and for Ryan's safety and comfort, we try for the most part to keep it out of the house, which is,
It
correct.
Just
and
happens
what
to
we
be
should
my
do.
favorite food.
Yeah, it just happens to be
I love fucking up people with my existence. It's my
No,
favorite
you know that
pastime.
You know that I'm perfectly happy to order something with shellfish in it because then it's just going from the door to the table into my face to the trash can.
And, well, into the toilet.
Well,
Why'd you have to make it weird?
I mean, it's true.
Yes, a lot of things are true.
Yes, what I said was also true, but without being weird.
I mean, it's me.
It is.
But mostly the biggest tragedy is that I have this wonderful, awesome opportunity here where I live with Hunter, but like he can't make anything with shellfish
I'll
in
be
it.
gone in early July.
What?
I said I'll be gone in early July.
I don't.
So you can,
I don't-
have to throw a shrimp party. Sleep in bed, eat shrimp.
Where are you going?
Sorry, I thought the mic switched. I have the North Jersey to my parents' house because I have an appointment at a hospital up there. So I'm
Gotcha.
gonna stay with them, and I think my mom wants me to stay for a few weeks, and she deserves a break from just living with my dad.
Oh God, that's right.
I think she's kind of having I shouldn't say that on the stream. I think she's spiraling a little bit now that we both left, like within a month from each other. My sister and I left, and and her dog died, and now it's just like, oops. Her dog died, and then Rachel and I were like, okay, so bad news, but
Oh, yeah. No, I. By all means, go
But
crash there for a while.
yeah, I'll get access to a swimming pool, 3 really delicious meals every day, and a guaranteed Mario Party every night. That's not bad. Like, I can easily romanticize living at my parents' house.
wait, why guaranteed Mario Party?
Because my mom fucking loves Mario Party, and
Awesome.
when I lived there for every single day for about 2.5 years, we played a Mario Party. Like every single day for those 2.5 years. Oh my God, we're getting a sub.
I bet it's
The
Andrew.
fuck? I hope it's Andrew. Oh no, it's
Oh,
Secret
what up?
Hi.
How are you doing?
What up, Nick?
You walked into a convo. Welcome to the
Hi,
convo.
I
Nick.
just walked into one interesting convo.
Man,
Whoa, how'd you make it do that?
That's Streamlabs.
It always does that.
Streamlabs has a text to speech if you donate a certain amount or if you resub.
Cool.
And at some point they changed the voice and I hate it now.
Oh.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't dislike it, but it could be better.
I don't know. We should
But-
switch all our shit over to
But
Stream Elements.
speaking
Blah, blah, blah,
of
blah.
accessibility,
Accessibility?
Accessibility. That's for like blind people.
yeah,
I'm a blind people.
yes.
I'm many blind people in one.
But I made these two watch 2 Pixar shorts today.
How
because
dare
they're
you. Wait, that was today?
disability.
Was that? What? No, that had to be yesterday.
Had to be yesterday.
Was that
It was-
today?
No, it was this morning.
No, it
No
wasn't.
way.
Yes.
No, it wasn't.
No,
No,
it
it
was this
definitely
morning.
wasn't.
You contain too much time.
It wasn't today. You guys were eating chicken nuggets. That happened yesterday. This is how I remember things. I
You
used
know what?
the
Yes, chicken nuggets
standard
was
time.
yesterday.
No, chicken nuggets was
You just
today.
gotta operate on chicken nugget standard time like me.
Okay.
It was
No,
yesterday.
you had chicken nuggets for breakfast.
No.
No.
Chicken nuggets were yesterday.
Chicken nuggets were
Allison,
yesterday. We had muffins.
I'm a fat guy. Take my word on food.
This is not a monthly check-in, Nick. This is like a bi-yearly check. It's mostly my fault, but
We're
But either
adults.
way.
That's just how that's like now.
guy friends. Nick and I are pretty well. I don't know if we're like the perfect example of the guy friends meme because we are friends, like for real. But like, a computer sure put us together in college, and that's why we're friends, guy friends.
Guy friends, that's all it is. If you guys, if anybody on stream or just watching this video later has seen Scrubs, that is a wonderful show.
So yeah, about these Pixar shorts that
Yes.
we saw yesterday.
This morning,
No, it wasn't this morning.
Yeah, no, Allison, I'm sorry. You're wrong.
You're wrong.
It
No.
literally was
we
yesterday.
watched them this morning.
We did not watch
No,
this morning. Allison.
you're literally wrong.
No,
You're
I'm not
100%
You're
not,
not right.
like go into your fucking Disney Plus history or whatever.
Can you do
It's-
that?
Maybe.
I don't. It was yesterday. It was at like 4 p.m.
Yeah, no, I did not eat chicken nuggets today.
No, we had muffins. And
No,
then
yeah, I woke up and the first thing I ate was muffin. I had a
It
muffin.
is all one continue. It feels like it. I feel like
No, because like
I had a
you-
muffin and we had those cheese things later.
yeah, the tots when we
No,
were.
That's all I've eaten
Because
today.
we were sitting at the table this morning because you
No,
didn't eat
it was
till later.
yesterday.
Yes.
We sat at the
So,
table
it's just-
yesterday.
Your whole memory is correct, Allison, but it's in the wrong day.
I promise, Allison. I promise.
You're
You have my word. It was before we streamed.
Yeah, just before we streamed today.
no, it was. We did a 3
Now I think
p.m.
you just-
stream yesterday. No, we didn't do a 3 p.m. We
No,
did.
we didn't. But I'm not going to talk about this that much longer. So let's wrap up.
Yes, but yes, about said shorts that we watched this morning.
I will not let this sleep. You're wrong.
You are wrong. And I can't tell if you're just like fucking with us at this point, or if you really believe
I
that.
think you're fucking. With
I will
me.
die on this hill.
I will
I'm not
die on
fucking
this
with
seat.
you. You're just wrong.
I want to talk about something else.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go into details about said things. So we watched Loop first, so we shall talk about Loop first. And the first thing I really like about this short that is very different from a lot of things involving disability is that they actually got a person with autism, Madison Brandy, as the wiki says, to play Renee, who has autism. And they like as I've seen the behind the scenes thing for it. And they went to her house because obviously that's where she'd be more comfortable. Well, actually, no. First they went to her. First they brought her to the office, but she wasn't very comfortable there because that's not her home. So they brought everything to her house, which is just in itself is awesome because not everybody would do that. And it's everybody should have that standard of hey, this person isn't comfortable working in a new place. We should bring it to them, and they did. And
Work from home is good for everyone.
Yeah, but they asked Renee, like, hey, what sound would you make? Because she's also nonverbal, just like Renee is. And they asked her, like, hey, what sound would you make here? Like, what's your verbal cue for this? And she would do it, and they just used those in the short. So, like, she's an actress who has autism playing a person with autism, which is just amazing, because that does not happen enough. Like, I understand there's situations, like, I think it's, like, I forget what the Stephen Hawking movie was called. Something Foot, I think. And, like, I understand in those situations that they can't have someone who already has the disability playing someone who, is progressing, like, getting that disability, or as that disability progresses. But, like, there's so many instances where it's just like, why do you have to train a sighted person to be a blind person when you can just hire a blind actor? Just, feelings. Ugh.
Yeah, the actor who plays Daredevil is sighted, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, that's something that, I mean, just like, here's a fun thing about an actor. Playing Daredevil hurt his acting career because he trained himself not to make eye contact with people.
Yep.
To look more authentically blind.
Yeah.
And he got, like, stuck. He, like, broke his ability to make eye contact with people.
He had to work on it again.
Yeah, he had to, like, retrain himself to look people in the eye.
Yeah. Because I think, he was Daredevil for like 2-3 years, right?
Yeah, that shouldn't last long enough.
Yeah. But, like...
No, our stream...
Ooh, I can hear the chat.
Yes,
We're not talking about
streamed-
this anymore. Shh.
Yeah.
Alex, you and I know.
Okay.
Yes. So much. Who wrote that?
That was Nick.
Yes. Thank you, Nick. But yeah, it's like, it's super annoying. And granted, like, I'm glad that Toph wasn't involved in the Avatar or the Last Airbender movies,
Oh
because
my god.
Max, that would have made me sad. But like, and granted, like, I wouldn't have wanted to play her, like, in real life, because I'm white and Toph is not, and like, I would have totally rather the opportunity to go to a black or to a blind Asian.
Toph is
person.
not black.
Well, I meant, Asian brain. My brain is getting blind and black mixed up, but that happens sometimes.
Does it? I guess so.
We'll start with BL, so yes. Saying, no, let's put that. Oh yeah, like, but in my head, before I saw the train wreck that movie, I'm like, I'm blind, I could play Toph,
Keep circling back to Toph.
In my face.
I would like nothing more than to see, like, I don't want them to make a sequel to that movie, obviously.
No, never.
But I want to look into an alternate timeline where they did make a sequel, and I want to see what Toph is like in that movie.
I don't want it to exist.
But like,
yeah.
that's probably like hilarious and just bad.
Yeah. Like I'm picturing it like they swap real Toph and the Toph from the Ember Island players. Yes. Like that's as train wreck as my brain will go with it, because it's But the one thing that, like, in terms of the short itself, in terms of Loop itself, that I really like, that like doesn't happen enough, is that, like, I forget the boy's name, but
I do too. And it was yesterday. I think I remember that.
But that like, I like that, like both him and Renee, like, bridge the gap with communication, because especially with, like, nonverbal autistics, like, they're like, like, and like initially he does. Here, let me look up his name real quick, 'cause that's gonna drive me crazy.
Does it start with an L?
Might it?
Nathan? Lyle?
My brain's giving me Lyle.
My
I
brain's
don't
giving me
know why.
Nathan, and I don't think that's right.
I don't know. He wasn't the important part.
No, not really.
No, but there it is.
This is just some Brian and I singing background.
We're vamping. We're vamping.
While Allison looks for the
Good
name.
to be here in Quahog. Wait.
What's his name?
Try again. Marcus.
Marcus.
Yes, thank you, Wiki.
Closer to Nathan than Lyle, but all three of those names are in the same family.
Yeah.
But yeah, like initially, because if you've seen the short, like initially, Marcus is like hesitant to go into the boat with Renee because she's autistic and is nonverbal and doesn't communicate like in a traditional way, and but eventually like they bridge the gap, and it's really it's interesting because like Renee also shows Marcus like like to appreciate the small things in life, like when they go through the reeds and she just like reaches out towards them and just like appreciate like the feeling of the reeds, and and like little things like that, and unfortunately when they go into the tunnel, because I think like I read it as Marcus like misunderstanding Renee's like overstimulation thing, or not not like taking it, because like I feel like at least as an adult that's a really common like trait of, I mean, like I have that, like I get really overwhelmed.
Yeah,
like,
I just don't think he
stuff.
anticipated that.
Yeah.
He had the wrong, he thought it'd be really cool,
And then
but he
there
didn't
was-
anticipate the feedback loop.
Yeah, and like.
And I knew exactly where that was going
Yeah.
before it happened.
Yeah. and like like I really like that, like the I don't know if you guys could hear, but like the parts where Marcus's voice was muffled was from Renee's perspective.
Yeah.
And I really like that because like she's not looking at his face, she's looking everywhere else pretty much, as you do. But like I really appreciate that because unfortunately, like especially if you look at news articles and and just most media in general, it's either not from the perspective of the person with a disability, or B, not a good one, a la the Ables, as we talked about, which I might bring up later if we have time. And so like I really appreciate that it's from Renee's perspective, but it's not like her perspective is lesser. It's not viewing it as like any worse of a perspective. It's just a different perspective, like they completely validate her way of communicating with her phone, with the apps and everything. Like the fact that she uses the poop emoji to go near the reeds, 'cause she's like, it's near the bathroom, but I don't want to go to the bathroom. I just want to feel the reeds, and the only thing that I'm not sure of, just because like I'm not educated in autism, and unfortunately I don't know as many people as I would like with with autism, but like the fact that she like smiles at Marcus at the end, I'm like obviously I know people with autism can smile, but like part of I always get very skeptical of like any media with disability. Like unfortunately I'm always looking for the bad interpretation of things, just because I'm so used to it being bad. That part of me is like, are they pandering for the like sighted or for the able-bodied people to go like, hey, look, she can be a bit normal, but then part of me is like, no, like she can smile. Like,
Yeah, I think it was just
smiling
an emotional
isn't-
response.
Oh, excuse me. Oh yeah.
I don't think, at least, I hope that everyone can smile.
Yeah, and so and like I had to like redirect my thoughts because I'm just like, you're being a Debbie Downer, and stop it. But like I really like that short. And actually the other thing I really like is that the counselor that talks to Marcus and like tells him where he's gonna go and that he's gonna be in the boat with Renee is like totally nonchalant about it. Like a lot of people might even with blind people, they might like overreact and like over explain how to like quote unquote deal with the person with a disability.
Yeah.
And like
It's
I
a
really
big
like,
part of society that in activism, when it comes to things like this or in pride, that the end goal is for it to just be a thing.
yeah.
Do we want gay representation? Yes. but we just want gay people to like be a thing that isn't questioned or over explained or
Yeah.
pointed out. It's just an inherent part of
Yeah.
society.
Just
Exactly.
blue shirt, blind guy, shorter days in the winter, girl with autism. You know,
Yeah.
just like they're all just parts of the world around us.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I really, really like that the council was just like, hey, today you're going to be in the boat with Renee. You know, don't worry. Like, she's got her phone, you know, whatever. Like, she's totally just nonchalant. Just like, yeah, she'll like to be on the canoe, you know? Like, I like that. And, like, I wish, because, I can't think of any specific incident, but, and I can name some with like a younger girl I know who's blind too, where like people were like overly cautious of other people interacting with, like, you know, say a student or, you know, just another person who's blind is like, you know, okay, don't worry, like, you know, like, well, watch out for this, watch out for that, like all this other crap, you know. It's just like, you know, like it. It's like I really like that, but it reminds me of another episode of Arthur with Miraculina, and it's a really neat, like, cause like most, like, I just like the fact that she shows up more than one episode, as we talked about in our first stream, I believe. But what I like about this episode is they're having a sleepover because they're going to see the newest, basically, Harry Potter movie, and they were like, hey, why don't we have a sleepover and then go see the movie like right after, like, you know, the next day or whatever. And like it's Prenella's first time having her over, and she's super worried because, like, you know, Miraculina doesn't know her house, and she puts a string from her room to the bathroom.
I
and
remember
like,
that.
yeah, and like worries about her like stepping on a rug or something, and it's like Miraculina justifiably like gets pissed off because she's just like I'm fine, like I just tripped, it happens all the time, like stop it. And like I like that, like, and what I really 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 like about this is they use a main character, they use Buster, who has asthma, to like, you know, emphasize the message of, like, you know, I didn't like it when people fussed about me over my asthma, like when I got diagnosed with that, you know, and that makes Prunella be like, oh, like, my bad, and she eventually, you know, apologizes to Miraculina and everything's cool. But like I really really like that, you know, that everything's okay. And then like when they're coming out of the movie, like, you know, like, you know, like Prenella's not being overprotective, and she's just like, hey, how do you know what this character looked like? And she's like, oh yeah, I heard the description from my
I
headset.
think to like relate that to real life, there are just like natural things about being blind that they just don't matter. They're not end of the, like, it, like, you know, my parents, my dad would, you know, what's the right word? Not flip out, but like react largely if I were to like bump into something in public. And it's like, yeah, I can't see. Sometimes I'm a bump into things.
Yep.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Why do you
Exactly.
care?
Like you're not the one bumping
Yeah.
into shit.
I notice all the time that because I'm deaf in my right ear, you know, if anyone happens to be watching.
Yeah. Can't
And being
triangulate.
deaf in one ear is being able to hear out of
Yeah,
Yep.
who's that from?
that's from Nick.
Nick. Okay.
Good lag right there. That was like 5 seconds after I said it. Hell
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah. So being able to hear out of two ears is how you triangulate sound. So I can't triangulate sound. So if I'm like walking somewhere with a group of people, I'll just grab one person by the elbow. I don't even
Hopefully
like,
not
you know,
me.
grab where I need your arm. I don't like grab people like the elbow. I just kind of like
Touch, yeah.
lightly touch their elbow with my knuckles, so I'm going in the same direction as them and I know where they are. And so many people will just like unconsciously grab my cane in front of me to prevent it from tapping against stuff.
That's what it's for.
And I get it in the unthinking mind of a person walking from point A to point B. There's like, here's the thing, whacking against stuff that's right here near where my hand is. Let me just keep that from whacking against stuff. And I'm a grown up, so when that happens, I yank it out of their hand. I go, hey, I need that. Please give me that back.
That's my arm.
But yeah, it's like I have a picture of the ground in front of me, and then suddenly I don't anymore. And I don't really know where I'm going with that, but
Yeah, well, it's like it. I think where you're going is like, it's annoying and amusing in some way that like people don't make the connection of like, hey, like it's either I bump into it or this little thin stick does. Pick one. Like my family still isn't used to that. Like I apologize to like my sister's boyfriend who, you know, isn't used to it. And like he knows, but it's just I feel the need to just apologize because it's just like he's not used to it yet. But like my older siblings still like fuss about me like tapping them on the knees, and I'm just like, excuse me.
if
Like,
you prefer,
I'm
I could kick you.
Yeah, exactly. It's either that or I just like shoulder you because like, you know, because like I can see enough where like sometimes I can tell that they're there, but I can't judge properly like how close I am or whatever. And then like you know, sometimes like I just feel the need at an unfamiliar or just like place I don't feel super comfortable because there's a busy road or whatever. I just have my cane and like I'll turn and it goes boop on their ankle just because like I turned and I didn't see them behind me and I just had my cane out and they're just like and I'm just like, dude, like stick or me, deal with it. Wait.
It's something that people can pretty easily get used to.
Yeah.
Like my group of friends that I normally walk with doesn't ever do that. Sometimes Hunter does, but
It's just harder for boomers because everything is a little bit harder for them.
that's
They don't.
that's the lead poison in
They
talking.
can't really regulate the emotions.
Yeah. No, wait, is Nick blind?
No,
Or-
it was just my roommate in college.
Oh. Okay. Oh, okay. So yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Anyway.
like everyone I met. Like everyone I met in college are pretty chill. Like especially because like by that point I was, especially at university, I was really good at like explaining my needs, and I got really bored and like annoyed at having to write like heads up emails to my professors all the time. So I just made a default, and I had a little clause at the bottom which is like, hey, this might change depending on like what you're teaching and how you teach and all that. But these are like my general go-tos. Are there going to be any problems? If there be any questions, email me back. We can meet sometime at the beginning of the semester. Thanks.
Right.
I do not remember the guy who really wanted a handshake, but I do remember the girl who wanted to feel my face. Or
Wow.
wanted me to feel her face. I don't know, man.
I've
like-
gotten that one on like one
I
or
have never
two
gotten that one.
occasions. I've gotten someone who's like, you know, the movie told me that blind people touch your face, and I'm like, I know what a face. It's like you feel it, and like I guess if I were feeling every single face of every person I know, I might be able to tell the difference between a face and a different face. But as I do not do that on a regular basis, a face feels like a face.
Wait, remember me? Oh, okay.
Don't worry about the music. I'm taking care of things. Stay the course.
Yeah, like, I'm trying to think. I like the biggest annoyance for me with like adults is like when they talk to me like I'm 5. Like I hate that. I hate that so much. And like I purposely try and like
Boomers.
like talk like, you know, like I purposely use bigger words and stuff like that to like subtly nudge them like, hey, I'm not 5. You know?
I went to college.
Yeah, like, or I'm in college. This is a university. Like, so like I really appreciate that like Loop treats the disability as just like
Yeah.
like she communicated like she really likes this ringtone, and you know, and like, oh yeah, and like I really like the scene at the end where Marcus and like, you know, Marcus is, or Renee's like doing the beginning of the ringtone, and then Marcus joins in with the woof woof bit.
Yeah.
Like again, like Bill like bridging the gap. And the other thing I like about the bridging the gap thing is like as like at least as a blind person, like so sometimes it is my job to like explain my needs.
Yeah.
But like a lot of times, like I always appreciate when people put in the effort. Like I like, you know, to like learn on their own or like ask me questions. Like I know I still have to answer the questions, but at least they're being proactive or like they Google something, you know. And obviously like it might not apply to me as we've discussed because everyone's different, but like at least they're trying.
I just can't believe that there's still like people who actually don't know what a white cane is.
Right?
Like that's weird. How
Like,
maybe I've just
remember,
spent too long in the blindness, but how do you not know what a white cane is?
I remember an NFB function that was at a hotel, and there was some like old boomer guy who was there who was very talkative and over and over and over and over and over again called it a C-stick.
That's how I control the camera.
Yeah. And he kept returning to the phrase C-stick
C-stick.
30 times.
to be honest, part of me kind of
Over there.
likes it.
It's cute.
It is. Cute's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Part of me kind of likes that. Because, I mean, like, it does technically help us see things. But actually, on the subject of the cane...
It displays such a rudimentary understanding of what it is.
yeah.
Like,
I like, that's something, like, I can imagine my niece or nephews calling it when...
yeah, I was
they
just
were
about to say, like Bingo can call it a C-stick.
Yeah. But, like, on the subject of, like, my cane and little kids, actually, So, like, I'm in my immediate family. I'm I'm not the youngest, but I'm a twin, and I'm only 7 months older than my sister. So, like, you know, whenever I'm talking about anything of this nature, I'm the youngest. You know, I'm one of the youngest, or I'm the youngest, or whatever. So my first real experience with blindness, and learning and real kids that weren't my older siblings, were my niece and nephews. And it's been really, really interesting because I see my sister's kids more than I do my brother's. And I like especially recently, I've seen a big difference in like what they remember and what they understand about it. Because like my niece, for example, like was asking me how I went blind, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I was born like that, you know. And then she's like, really, why? And I'm like, well, you know, your Aunt Bobby and I were born really early, and you know, and so like my eyes broke, and she's like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm alive, it's cool. But my nephew, we had a bit of a problem with because he didn't seem to remember how, what my cane was for. And I prefer to use my cane at my brother's place because he lives by a pretty busy road, and his, like, you know, his property is fine, but it's not like it's got a couple holes and like a little bit of uneven bits. And there were also a lot of people, so I'm like, I prefer to use my cane at least outside. And I knelt down at one point to like draw with one of the little kids at like on the driveway, and I got up to, you know, leave, and I put my cane to the right where I put my cane, and it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, I'm surprised I didn't notice that my cane was gone, but I guess I assumed like the little sneakers were the person I was drawing with, maybe. But like I find them in the front yard, like using my cane as some sort of like, you know, sword or whatever. And like
They're good for that.
yeah, but and I wasn't yelling, but I was like using my stern aunt voice, because like, you know, like
Stern aunt voice.
yeah, which is like, what are you doing? Which thankfully, unlike my sibling.
Don't bust that out. It scares me.
Yeah, well, like
You're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, nothing. I'm just sitting here.
but it's nice though, because like you know, I've got good voice control, so they know when I mean business.
Yeah.
But like the problem was, you know, like in retrospect, and like I wasn't yelling at him, but I was very stern with him that like I need this to get around. You're lucky I wasn't in the city and that I know this piece of property, okay, but you never ever take somebody's cane, you never touch somebody's service animal, and you never take someone's wheelchair. I kind of did the whole spectrum, because why not? And I kind of felt bad because my other nephew was right there, and he's one of the ones that like knows all this stuff already, because I've seen, you know, I've been around him more. But like I made it clear, like I'm talking to this one, not you. But it was just a really neat look at like, oh, because I'm around two of them more than the other two, like they know better, and you know, like it was just it was a really interesting look on like the education of kids. Because like I talked to that nephew's class, and like so the fact that he didn't remember anything, or like I mean, granted that talk was mainly about Braille and not cane, but I did bring up my cane. But like it's a big reason why like I wish that there was, you know, at least a kids show with a main character like a young kid show like Bluey, where, you know, kids could see kids with disabilities and just like existing rather than just being one episode one-off characters of just like treat people nicely, because they don't remember that shit. It's one episode. Why would they?
Yeah, there are yeah, that would be good. That would be good
Yeah,
if there was a very popular like a Sesame Street popular kids show.
I'm sure they've covered disability.
Yeah, no,
right.
they
on
have
Sesame
absolutely
Street.
covered
Oh, yeah.
disabilities.
Yeah, as far as like a main character.
Rocco
Yeah.
Fiorentino was on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
But like
But like Sesame Street's
There's
different
not-
than like Bluey though.
there's not like
Yeah.
a staple character in it.
Yeah, and I mean,
Who
granted,
has?
like I don't think all the characters show up in every episode because the cast is really big.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about a show like no, not that it has to be Bluey, although I'd love if Bluey did it. But like a show like Bluey that has like repeating characters, sort of an overarching plot, you know, and like you know, like it like. For example, if they did it in Bluey, they don't even have to like obviously have a member of the Healer family be disabled. They could like have be a new student at the school or something.
would
Someone
just
that
be-
And they
shows up often
Kind
enough.
of did that. I mean, they did that with neural divergency.
Yeah.
They could do it with a physical disability. I think that'd be cool.
And they should. And like it doesn't make sense to me that like the reason they don't do it is like they don't want to be political. Like what about our
It's-
existence is political?
TV is a very political place.
But it's just
Contracts are scary, executives are scary, shareholders are really scary. It's hard to do things. It shouldn't be. That's
but
you know,
like
I'm
like
with you.
But like it shouldn't be a thing. It should just be oh yeah,
absolutely,
this is just a
you're
student.
right.
Like I think part of the reason people think it's political is because like one, because they see it that way, but also because like most episodes that I can think of really young kids TV with blind characters or disabled characters have been one-off episode educational episodes where they're not just people. Like I mean they are, but not in like the just like not in the tough sense of just like, oh yeah, they're blind, but they're also, you know, really talented this thing, or they're also they just also like really like dinosaurs or whatever, you know. And so like I think the fact that traditionally little kids TV has mainly viewed disability as something just to educate about and then kind of go on is partly why it's viewed as political. You know, like, I think it at least plays a little part in it because it's made it so people don't view characters with disabilities as just that. You know, with like the disability is just a characteristic.
I wish it wasn't so tricky to do, but you put one toe out of line and your show gets banned in a whole country. It sucks. It sucks that it's that way.
Yeah.
It do.
But on the second topic for today is the other short the other Pixar short that we ended up watching, which was Float, which I was actually really excited about because I knew the gist of the plot because I'd heard it, but I hadn't taken the time to watch it, or at least like if I had, it was a long time ago.
I have way more feeling. I really liked both shorts, but I think I have way more feelings about Float.
Oh yeah, same,
it's
same here.
There's a lot there.
There's a lot. Like, and I think it's something that like, you know, because what's funny about having seen Loop and Float at the same time, or like, you know, one after another, is that the background for Float is that I believe the director's son was diagnosed with autism, and he had a very similar reaction that the dad in the short did, and like that's what inspired it.
Float as well. Like, I think the reason that I have more feelings about it is because it's a lot more conceptual.
Yeah.
Like Loop is very literal. It is what it is, and it's wonderful. But like what's going on in Float, to speak of it for a moment, because I'm assuming people haven't necessarily seen it.
Yeah.
It's a Pixar short about a father and his son like floats like a balloon. But like that's weird, and when they go outside the house they get like dirty looks from people, and it's not acceptable, and it's not normal. And the dad, puts the kid on a leash and puts a backpack on him and puts rocks in the backpack to keep him from floating. And they try to act like he's quote unquote normal, and he doesn't speak at all.
Yeah.
Neither of them speak at all throughout the whole.
No, once.
Yeah,
Well, that's the point he's getting to.
I'm not at the end of my sentence yet. I take a second to get where I'm going.
Yeah.
Anyway, they leave the house. People are giving him dirty looks. They go to a playground. The kid wants to play with the other kids. But, he floats, so he's, not playing the right way, I guess. They use a lot of imagery of kids going down a slide, which is not how a floating child would interact with a slide. And then the dad screams at the kid. What he says? Why can't you be normal?
Yeah,
I think is what he
he's
says.
dragging him out of the park, and the kid's screaming and everything, and
Yeah.
the music builds up, and it just like him, the dad shouting just shatters.
And the dad immediately feels really bad.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm very, very sympathetic for the dad because I think that the reason that I focused in on the dirty looks when I was talking about it is because I feel like at a cursory look, the immediate reaction to that short could be condemnation of the dad. And I don't feel that way about him at all.
Yeah, me neither.
I feel like what I was witnessing there was the whole world's, whether it be just in the dad's perception or whether it be in reality, is the world's, society's negative impression of whatever metaphor the kid floating is, because it could be any number of things, which is one of the awesome things about that short. But that flood of negativity that's directed at the child, and the father is
Internalizing?
he's standing in between that flood of negativity and his own son.
Yeah.
And that urge to protect him from the negativity that comes from either from the way the father internalizes the world or from the way the world acts or from a combination of the two.
I view it as a circle.
Yeah, it ultimately poisoned. That's hard on.
Yeah.
That's very hard on the father, and it poisoned his relationship with his son, which is why he immediately, after he had that one outburst, he felt bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. That I think I didn't realize until just now that I think I liked Float a lot more.
Yeah.
I loved them both. They were both good, but
Yeah, I agree. Float hit more.
yeah, Float is maybe a little more direct in its
Message.
Yeah, by being less literal with the actual story.
Yeah. And it's also because having seen most, if not all, of the shorts, most of them aren't so realistic.
Yeah.
And so they're able to be a little more metaphoric. Some of them are realistic, but not all. I forget what it is. There's one about a guy not telling his having a boyfriend but not having told his parents that he's gay and trying to hide everything, every spoke of it from his parents, and it's really good. But most of them are very abstract.
Pixar's interesting.
I love Pixar.
Pixar's very progressive, and they're
Except not in the real movies.
They're getting very fed up with Disney.
Yeah.
And I know recently they wrote a letter to Disney to be like, please let us be progressive. Stop, suppressing us.
Mm-hmm. But like
Can't
Float,
escape the mouse.
yeah. But like Float though, and like we sort of talked about this app right after watching it, but like Float really hit home for me, like because I know for a fact that like my parents were taking me to doctors, you know, for the first like 5 or so years of my life, like to like see what they could do about my broken eyeballs, and eventually they just gave up, which I'm glad they did, because that would have sucked, like, you know, having to go to doctors all the time, and to, you know, one, there being nothing done, but like, you know, like obviously, because like although I understand why a parent, you know, like would keep looking for a cure, as someone who like sees their disability as part of their identity, part of like, you know, another part of me is just like, just let them be a person who just has a thing, like
I've never had a conversation with my parents about how they reacted to me being blind.
Yeah, I
as like
did.
a infant, like what.
Yeah, I mean, like
they've told me about when they sort of figured it out, but
Yeah.
I've never known about how they like reacted afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think my dad dealt with it better. Like, it's weird. Like, and I can only really judge by their reaction now, but, you know, or, like, growing up. Because, like, you know, my dad was doing, like, most of the, like, working. But I think he might have been using that as, like, an avoidance tactic. Because, you know, like, the boomers don't deal with feelings that good.
I mean, I don't, regardless of how my parents reacted mentally, ultimately they did the right thing. I mean, by the time I was 3, I was fully involved with the Commission of the Blind.
Yeah, and
So
like
they knew what they were doing.
yeah, and like I was involved in the commission by the time I was, you know, like I think I met my first Braille teacher technically when I was 1.
Wow.
You know, and I mean, like, I didn't have her back then. I had her when I was 3, but I think they were like prepping.
Yeah.
And so like my parents weren't in denial, but I think they were also like, you know, trying to see if there could anything could be done, you know. And I understand that, you know, like, and I don't know what I would do in their situation, cause I understand that the world is easier for sighted people, but I also understand, you know, that I've mentioned this on stream before when I was in the void, that like if you're not blind, then like and you don't have blind people problems, you're still gonna have problems. They'll just be different, you know. So like it doesn't entirely make your life easier, and like I feel like especially like as technology gets better, it's going to be easier to be a blind person, because like hopefully we'll have self-driving cars, or hopefully the transportation in America will get better, or whatever. But I also feel like this, you know, like dismissing like, you know, my really young years, like I've always gotten the impression, and like I think it's changed recently, especially with having transportation and now doing jiu-jitsu and being able to walk places, but like I always had this impression growing up that there was like some like shame, like I don't know whether it was shame or awkwardness or whatever, but like a negative feeling regarding my blindness, because like there were times where like I wouldn't like my family didn't want my cane in pictures, like in family pictures, or like, you know, like my siblings getting mad about, you know, being tapped in the shoulder, like me just doing blind things, like for example, like obviously I can't tell what a meal is necessarily unless I smell it, you know. And they're just like, do you have to do that? You know, like their reactions. I'm like, I'm just smelling the food.
Yeah, that's weird. Your family are weird.
Yeah, but it's just like I don't think they realized they were doing that. I don't know. Like I didn't even realize, you know, like I didn't put it all together because like it didn't happen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they didn't stop me from learning Braille. They didn't stop me from getting any fancy tech or whatever. But like for example, I needed to have a long conversation with my sister, who is a special ed teacher, about her getting all grumpy whenever I'd watch a movie with her kids with audio description on. And even if she wasn't watching it, she'd get all grumpy. And it's like you know, it's one of the few times where my family was like introspective about a conversation I've had with them, and actually has worked to change and is really a lot better about it now. But it's just like, how do you not put those two things together? Like, hey, you know, I work with special ed kids, and my blind sister needs audio description, and like I don't even visit her that much. Like I like the fact that she wasn't like, hey, this does bother me, but I don't see my sister that much, and this will make things easier for her when I see her, so I should do this for her. like, I don't understand how they don't make that connection. Like that I had to specifically I had to corner her in a vehicle because we were driving somewhere because my family is very conflict avoidant, which I have that habit too, but like I'm trying to get over it. And so I totally empathize with the dad because getting looked at sucks. Like I've been looked at for doing strange things my whole life, but I also and of course the and I don't think Alex you mentioned this, but it ends with the dad being all remorseful and going to a swing and putting his kid on his lap and going really, really high on the swing, and his son floats and he jumps, and it's all a happy big moment because his dad's realized hey, who gives a shit what people think? My son's cool. This is a part of him, and that's okay.
Yeah, he realizes at the end of it that he has a normal kid.
Yeah.
The thing that makes his kid
his kid is still
kid is still a normal kid. He's just a normal kid who floats.
Yeah.
E.g., he's just a normal gay kid or a normal blind kid or a normal neurodivergent kid.
Yeah. I should have looked up the exact quote from the director, but I believe you can look it up for yourselves to correct me, but I believe the director eventually realized hey, instead of realizing instead of thinking about all the things I can't do with my kid with this diagnosis and with with him being the way he is, I'm gonna think about what we can do together. And that completely changed his perspective.
My dad, interestingly enough, I think that my dad did the perfect job of dealing with a kid with a disability. But he he rides a bicycle all the time, literally 100 miles a day.
Yeah. Yeah, your dad's insane.
It's crazy. And when I could see, I would go on bike rides with him. There was a time where I would go on a 22-mile bike ride.
Wow.
We would go, and then I went blind, and no more of that.
You never did the tandem bike thing?
No.
No.
And we just never. It never happened. We talked about it, but we never got one.
I like Jingle Wings.
Yeah. Well, this is Ryan and me.
Yep.
Fun.
This is our cover of Burbank City.
What we were saying though?
I was saying, so that's he just went on a 42-day, 3,000-mile cross-country bike trip. Where he started in California and ended in Florida. But that's as much as that might have been something that he wanted to share with me, by circumstances, we can't.
Mm-hmm.
But, we both love comic books, so that's a different thing. That, new Marvel show comes out, and we get on the phone and talk about it every episode. Mm-hmm. It's about finding what those points of similarity can be.
Yeah.
And if the son can't share his father's, passion for going down the slide or whatever, they both love swing sets in the end.
Yeah. And that's one thing that really that I think is the thing that sucked the most about my family's overall reaction is they were always talking about what they thought I couldn't do. My dad never thought that way. And granted I didn't live with my dad growing up past the age of 8, but my interactions with him, I told him once I wanted to go skydiving. I don't think I was of age yet, but he's like, cool, got permission from your mom and we'll go. He's never doubted whether I could be a teacher,
But did you go skydiving?
No, because I grew out of that and I was just I'm not crazy.
Same. I'm not crazy.
I was gonna say I don't want to go. Hunter went skydiving.
Yeah, but the fact that my dad, he was just cool, let's go. Just get permission from the mom first. Was really, really cool. And I was telling these guys earlier, whether it was the first time I noticed or whether it was the first time it actually happened or both, like my dad was the first one that I remember consciously being aware of, like, this person thinks that I'm more capable than I think I am, because he would help me with spelling tests back before he moved out. He would help me with spelling tests, and like I'm really good in English, and he knew that. And so every time I'd get a question wrong, he'd take like a folder or a floppy notebook and just go about the back of my head. And like it wasn't hard. I didn't like.
Hang on, Allison. It sounds like someone's here. I don't.
Mr. Jeebus.
Mr. Jeebus.
So
that's
okay.
the big question.
Here's the
Yeah.
deal.
Sorry.
Can I finish my story first?
Oh, okay.
Okay. But
I will answer your
Yeah.
question.
yeah, well,
We got there. We got to hear about Allison's
yeah.
dad hitting her.
I
yeah.
guess so.
In a good way, like in a like not abusive, fun way, cause like my my dad doing that, like, 'cause it wasn't painful. It was his way of just doing that, and it was the first time that I realized, like, one, I'm more capable than I think I am, and two, people, like, even though I might not live with them, people do think that. Some people do think that, and I think it's part of the reason why, like, I always push myself academically, because my family never really tried. Like, my twin sister did, but like most people in my family, like they were always concentrating on what I couldn't do, and they weren't really like. They didn't really put any effort into into trying what I liked. They always try to push me into what they liked, still do, and so like I really appreciated that fact with the dad. I'm just like, hey, like, we're gonna see what we have in common, and go from there. And like, yeah, there might be things, because I can't float, so I can't help him with that, but I can still make him happy and be there for him and everything. So.
Okay, so I'm
Back
going to
to
answer
the
the hearing question.
Yeah, now we shall
So-
answer.
It depends. The answer is it depends what you mean by enhanced.
The answer is, medically speaking, absolutely not. But
Yeah.
where your brain power might be focused a lot more on your sight, I am using that brain power to focus a lot more on what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
which means
it's
I
not-
remember audio details a lot. I'm more
Yeah.
likely to hear a change in our environment.
Yeah.
Not because my hearing is better, but because that's where I'm focusing my
Yeah.
attention.
And
It's
when,
weird. My hearing is literally worse because I'm deaf in my right ear. I don't know if you were here when I mentioned that before, Mr. Jeebus, but I literally have worse hearing, but I still pay more attention to that worse sense of hearing, which is great because it means that I mishear things all the time in really funny ways.
Because I mean, like your sense of hearing might be worse, but your eyes are worser. So.
My eyes are worser. Yeah, no, I know. I live in a dark balloon with one pinprick that lets sound in and nothing else.
Yeah.
It's very depressing. But I mishear things in funny ways, but they're like things that if I weren't paying attention to my hearing, I just wouldn't hear at all.
Yeah. Well, like as an example is like I've got normal hearing. I've got some vision, but I've got no vision on my right side. My vision on my left is like it's better compared to these guys, but compared to you, and so I pay more attention to my hearing as well. Like, and for example, Ryan and I were the first two up today, and we were like, as everybody came down, we were like, it's not Alex, because we can hear like the crunching of the
Floorboard.
There is no way at all to prevent you from talking about how fat I am.
like it's an
There's
observation.
just no way.
It's how
All
we
right,
know
keep
it's
talking
you.
about it. That's fine.
It's like there's a difference between going, hey, like this guy's
It
fat,
doesn't
and it's
matter
being like,
whether
hey,
it's fine.
like my mom does the same thing, and it's only because like that might be how she walks, it might be her weight, or both.
It's less
like,
of a weight thing and more of a you walk on the left
Yeah,
side of the
it's-
hallway.
It's
Yeah.
literally whether
The
or not
floorboard that
you
creaks
step
is on the
on the
left side of the
spot.
hallway.
yeah, and
Okay.
day-to-day complaint about what?
it's so much fun having questions. Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
My
yeah,
day to
thank-
day is pretty boring. So my only complaint day to day is the limited amount of things I can do creatively or entertainment wise. Like,
Yeah,
I'd love
I'd
to be able to
say-
sit down and play my Nintendo Switch, but that's simply not an option for me.
Yeah, I think for me it's like not being able to be blind, not being able to drive a car in America,
Yeah.
where you have to
Yeah.
be able to drive a car or else.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like there's not really an else, so
yeah.
like I don't
Like,
know.
I think for me it's also the lack of transportation, just because like what takes like for example to to like visit people, what takes someone an hour might take me like if it's good transportation, twice as long, which is what I expect. But like for example, for me to get to where I live to like halfway across New Jersey, it takes me like 5 hours because there's a detour to New York. Because most people, rightfully so, are going to New York. But like, if I could drive, it would take me an hour. And I'm just like, ugh.
And I mean, so every single thing that you do as a blind person is like harder than doing that thing as a sighted person.
I would disagree.
And okay, maybe not every single thing, but
No, not
hang
everything,
on.
but
Please let me get to the
please
end of
get
my.
to the end.
You love talking at like 10% through my thing, and I would like to get to 100%.
Sorry.
Every single thing that you do as a blind person, for the most part, is like doing that thing as a sighted person, but harder because you're doing it without like the ability, without vision. For certain things like getting in your car and driving on the convenient American road system from point A to point B is, harder than doing it with vision to the point where you literally just can't. It's impossible. You're blind. You can't drive a car. Anyone, for the most part, can, if they're in a good position to, they can go on public transit. They can take an Uber to the bus station and take a bus somewhere and then take another Uber to their destination.
Yep.
But that whole process, every combined step of that process, getting from home to the bus station, if you can see, or if you've had good mobility lessons in the area where you live, which is also a thing, you can maybe walk to the station. Most of the time, if you're blind, at least for me, I would most of the time just decide to take an Uber. If I have to go from somewhere to somewhere else, I'd rather take an Uber. Hang on. Ryan read your chat, and now I got derailed a little. Hang on. Where was it going? Yes. Every step of that public transit process is like a little bit more complicated, whether you're using accessibility software on the phone, which is great that it exists. Hang on. I kind of spiraled myself out of making sense.
You want me to go?
What? Sorry?
You want me to go, or?
No. I'll get there.
Okay.
Basically, everything's bullshit. Like,
End stream.
I just decided to cut out the long story.
I mean, being blind is like
Everything's
it's
bullshit.
literally
You
like
can do stuff. It's just all bullshit.
It's like if you lived in 2D and everyone else around you lived in 3D. Like think like if you were to like use a computer and look at a web page with your eyes, you're receiving that information all at once. It's like living in a three-dimensional space. For a blind person, we take a cursor, a predetermined cursor, and we explore the web page as a two-dimensional person would explore a three-dimensional space. That's why it's so much more complicated. We're literally missing a dimension. Doesn't mean we can't do the things, but we have to get to the things.
See, it's funny for me because like disregarding the vision that I do have, like I sort of find it easier to do physical things as a blind person than technology related things because one, like like technology, I think, is the only place where like we have the same amount or technology, physicality. Like, you know, as long as it's like full contact or just like, you know, whatever, is like the place where I think we're on even ground with sighted people, if not better, because like, you know, like obviously people are different. I've met people who have no sense of direction, but like I personally have a very good sense of direction. There's obviously going to be diversity in, you know, blind people and their capabilities, obviously. And so, like, for me, like, I'm learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like, there are things I find difficult about it. Like, you know, I can't watch the presentations. But once I've had a move done on me, I've pretty much got it, except for, like, the tiny details. And I learned that just as anybody else does. And I just do it over and over again. And then, like, cooking. I really enjoy cooking. And I find, you know, like with that, we have our sense of smell. We have our, you know, our sense of touch. And there are plenty of times I've found where sight limits people, because like from my experience, at least in my family, like they're over reliant on their eyeballs. Like my sister, like you know, when I lived with her, like she couldn't go to the bathroom without turning on like every light, and I'm just like, but you can't just walk to the bathroom without your eyeballs? What? Huh? What? like I just find it really amusing what sighted people can't do without sight. Like there's so many things, and it's really, really funny. The only like I'd say, like, for me, the biggest limitation, like aside from technology, which is like an extension of what I find the actual problem, is people. Because as we were talking about earlier, if you weren't here, people are stupid and annoying.
People are stupid also end stream.
Yeah. because like instead of like asking us, because they assume they know what we need, and as I said, people are very individual, because people, that's how we work. And so instead of being like, hey, you know, would you like my arm, they just grab us and drag us where they think that we want to be, and then we're lost.
Yeah, this is there's something that we mentioned last time we did this stream. The idea that it's not okay to grab a stranger in public
applies to blind
entirely vanishes from the average person's mind when they see a disabled person.
Yeah, especially
and
a
like
blind person.
that's a big point that I would like to communicate to anyone who's willing to listen to my inane ramblings.
Yeah.
Is if you see a disabled person, okay, offer to help that person if they look like they need help. But like, you can't just grab a stranger.
Yeah, if they like,
can't do that. Please don't.
If you ask somebody if they need help, anybody, regardless of disability or not, and they just say, no, I'm fine, leave them be. They don't need help. Like, if you're really worried about them, watch them, like, cross the street or whatever. You know, then you'll know they're okay. But, like, you wouldn't grab a stranger who's sighted. Why would you grab, like... Well, like, cause I used to have a big complex about being asked if I needed help or asking for help, because I viewed needing help as being weak and incapable. And as I got older, I realized, like, oh, like, yes, there are things that I need help with that sighted people do not, but that doesn't mean that sighted people never need help. And sometimes it actually means, like, hey, not asking for help makes it harder on you, because everybody needs help. There's a reason why the phrase "it takes a village" is still a thing. Like, everybody needs help. And like, it's made me much more aware of, one, like, hey, if I ask for help, would this be easier? And two, was that person just being polite and not being belittling? Like, I've become very aware of who's doing what. And then there are times where, like, there are times where I correct people. Like, I remember an incident in college where I was like a good amount of feet, maybe like 20-30 feet from the door I was clearly walking towards, and someone literally sprinted past me towards the door to open it, and I was just like, thank you.
Yeah,
it seems nice, but sometimes even opening a door for a blind person can throw off our route.
Yeah.
I very much don't like it when people would open doors for me at college. And I don't know if it was just like a particular stupidity of the people at my college, but I've been hit in the face by hundreds of doors. People go, so like when a door is closed, I know where the handle is. As soon as someone else decides to open the door for me, where the handle is and where the door is both become a mystery. And I don't like when I can find a closed door. A closed door is parallel with like it's up against the building that it's a door to.
Yeah.
A door that is in the process of being opened. Oh man, that could be anywhere on a 180-degree arc, in or out.
Yep.
And that's that's how you get hit in the face by someone trying to open a door for you. And then they walk away feeling good about their day, and my face hurts.
Yeah. And then I love because I personally love blind jokes. I'm not offended by them at all. If you're meaning to offend me, I'm gonna be pissed because you're
You
meaning
better
to
not be using this as a setup. Blind jokes are fine, but
Yeah. Yeah.
blind jokes are fine. But I would make fun of you for a week if you used that as a setup for one.
No. But and this goes for anything, obviously. That if you're not intending to be mean, then yeah, make the joke. You should be aware if the person you're making the joke to will be fine with it, because obviously, how you become disabled can be traumatic. I've met people who've been through that. Granted, a lot of them, it's been a while, so they're cool with it now and they're fine with making jokes, but you don't know that person's situation. So, I personally will make a joke first, so it breaks the ice. It sends the message that, hey, I'm cool with it, so I'm fine with it, and you should, I'm fine with you making blind jokes, feel free. But unless you know the person, unless you, assume that, you're pretty right in assuming that they're okay with any joke regarding their disability, that's cool. But if they are offended, whether you intended it or not, and if you intended it, you're a dick. But if you didn't intend it and they're offended, apologize, because maybe you just read the room wrong, or you just read them wrong, or whatever. But as a whole, though, I find blind jokes hilarious because and actually I showed Ryan and Alex, or no, just Ryan, a TikTok about gallows humor and how, shitty things, it's fun to make fun of them because it, alleviates the annoyance or the anger or any negative emotion you may have, because you're just might as well make fun of it. And so,
Is it the TikTok about gallows humor you love to show me?
The German jokes from World War II?
Yes.
Those are fun. Those are good.
You showed it to me a few times.
Yes, I love those.
I know
No,
that.
there were multiple parts. It wasn't the same TikTok.
Gotcha.
But I love those. And it's and it falls under that humor. But for example, when I become a teacher, I plan on because my go-to blind joke as a student was when the teacher would go, "Can everybody see this?" I'd go, "No," because why not?
Yeah.
It's stupid, but it always gets a laugh because it's stupid, but also it's a blind joke and it's from a blind person. And so my joke that I plan on telling all of my classes as a joke to break the ice and tell them I'm okay with jokes is, can anybody else but me not see the whiteboard?
I cringe at your sense of humor.
And that's the point.
But you're gonna be like an elementary school teacher, and that is perfect elementary school teacher terrible sense of humor.
Dude, that's basically the joke I told in college. And the cringiness is part
Trust
of the
me,
humor.
it's 1,000 times worse in college than in elementary school.
But the thing is, it's still gonna laugh, and that's what matters. And even if it's not funny,
Honey, I'm laughing at you.
I know, and that's the point. That's the point in my book. And even if it doesn't get a laugh, it tells my students and people around me that if you can think of one, shoot it. Hit me with it. I love it. Go. I love, we've talked about Toph a lot in the show. I love Toph Beifong from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love the fact that, one, she tells blind jokes, but two, a lot of her blind jokes are at her friends' expenses because they forget that she's blind, or she feels them there it is! Everyone looks where she's pointing. There's jack shit there. It's the best. I love
There's
it.
a certain way that's not where the joke isn't just ha ha ha, I'm blind.
Yeah. Like the classic, thinking a coat rack as a person.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
but there's a certain I'm blind and therefore you're stupid kind of way to do it. that can turn like a potentially embarrassing or uncomfortable situation around.
Yep.
Like I remember back to when I was in high school. I stepped into a room that I was in like the AP English class, and I had to go into the God, I feel like such a smarmy fuck calling it the regular English class, the peasant English class, where the college preparatory class where they sent the idiots.
Yeah, well,
I had to step down from my pedestal.
I know where your life went, so it's not smarmy at all.
That's
Gonna need a
depressing.
sensu for that one. Fuck. Well, I stepped into the CP English
blind high
class,
five,
the
Ryan?
college prep English class, the like regular level one.
Right, can we do a blind high five?
And someone.
1, 2, 3.
What are you
Yeah,
doing?
there we go.
I was out of sync.
Wanna
with
do it
fucking-
again?
I was like half focused on out.
Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Is it on 3 or after 3?
On 3.
Is this a measure of 4-4 or
Oh,
after 3?
every second is just making it worse.
Ah!
Ryan, it's an anime reference. Don't let her get you
Well,
too.
You can't
Well, no,
do
it's-
it. You can't
it's-
beat me.
It's actually not an anime reference.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, like, unintentionally.
Bullshitter.
Unintentionally, but
Don't
it
you
was
bullshit me.
it was at blind camp, and I was like, kept doing high fives with people and hitting them in the face, so I did that, and it just happens to be also a Full Metal Alchemist reference,
It sure is.
and it's fun.
So,
Any site, I understand that that's a reference to a thing that we did at Blind Kid Camp, but it's a reference to an anime reference we made at Blind Kid Camp,
Yes,
which makes it terrible.
and I like it.
you're all terrible.
Anyway, my story.
Yeah, back to your story.
I went into this college prep high school class, and there was a kid in the classroom who was in the middle of handing out some kind of baked good. And I like gave the note to the teacher or whatever, and I was turning around to head back to my actual English class. And the teacher was like, "Hey, so and so's handing out like granola bars or whatever. Do you want one?" And I was like, "Sure." And he came over, and I held out my hand, and suddenly there was a granola bar in my mouth. He was just like, "Here you go," and fed me the granola bar
What?
like I was an animal in a petting zoo.
Oh, no.
And then I was like, "Okay, thank you," and I took it out of my mouth, and I was like, "Yep, okay, that's good, I guess." And he immediately realized, this kid still thinks about this moment, I guarantee you. And I destroyed his whole career, which is part of why I love telling this story, because right after he did it, he was like, "Oh man, I'm sorry." And I was like, "Why? Why are you? I'm gonna go now, and Dad, you have to stay here." And they all saw you do that. So, thanks for the granola bar. Bye. And then I left. And presumably, he was left standing there in front of his high school English class who saw him do that.
Wait, was this the teacher or a student?
No. A student did. A student was
Okay.
handing out granola bars or something.
The train of thought that would get you to do that to a... Whatever, the train of
Like
thought.
inserting food directly into the mouth of a human
I'm just
being
like,
that
just like
isn't-
a stranger. Just like,
It reminds me a lot of a story that Marley Matlin told once, who's a deaf actress who
You
if you
gotta.
don't know.
If,
When
if you're
she-
in that situation, it needs to be with your husband or wife.
Or friend. Because I did that to you earlier today.
Yeah,
so-
and it was weird.
Well, I wanted to give it to you. And I was just,
I know. It was
but it reminds me of a story the deaf awesome actress Marley Matlin told of when she was on a plane one time and she was given a braille menu, and she was just like, and like obviously her interpreter, I think
I've
Jeremy.
absolutely, literally never been offered a braille menu.
Yeah, I wish. Oh, actually, no. I have been once, and I like purposely did a tweet or something about the restaurant. I'm like, they were aware of it because normally I have to ask. Why I have to ask is I don't know, but I had to ask. But I didn't have to ask here, and I was just like, you were aware. Awesome. Like verbally complimented the waitress because I'm like I always have to ask for one, and one usually they don't have one, but even if they do, I always have to ask, and I'm so grateful just because like you thought you used your brain. I was very impressed she used her brain.
There was a local movie theater near me back in New Jersey before we moved here that had one single accessibility system for blind and hearing impaired.
Hard of hearing.
Hard of hearing patrons. Anyway, they had to like set this machine to either audio description or like amplification of the movie audio. And it was like a coin flip. I would go to, and that's why I like stopped going to the movie theater altogether, because I would either get audio description or just not. And it was the same headset, so there was no way to tell until you were sitting in the theater. And I'm blind, so once I'm there, I'm either sending a friend or family member to miss part of the movie so that maybe they get it right this time, or I'm going to sit there and watch the movie without audio description. Not worth my time.
Yeah. Like, my biggest issue, though, with watching, like, obviously not with anybody who doesn't mind the AD, but, like, I do, because I understand that it can be distracting for people and that it changes the experience, especially for sighted people. So I do wish I at least had the option to, like, in my own home, do what they do in theaters and, like, project the audio description to my headphones. And there are apps that sort of can do it, but the problem is, from what I understand, the audio description and the movie rights are two separate things, and a lot of times it's hard to get them separately.
Audio description should be done by the creator of the film, not the distributor.
Yes.
Woo! Do that, make that standard you want.
And so like any app that I've tried that does offer audio description, also it also contains the audio for the movie. And so like if I'm watching it with another person on like when they have the movie on the TV, there's an echo and it's really annoying.
I don't understand why it can't just listen for 5 seconds and then auto sync.
I mean, it does, but that doesn't stop the echo because like my brain, I'm hearing it through the headphones and from the TV. So it doesn't stop the like. It's not like an echo in like the traditional sense, but it's still like hearing it twice, and it's like it's annoying. And like I wish that there was just like an app. And on the subject of accessible apps, because I wanted to bring this up. Like we've been talking about a lot about like annoying things.
Stream.
Like we've been talking a lot about like annoying things sighted people do, or why do people do, but sighted people in this case because our disability is being not able to see. And like on my journey over here, a really nice taxi driver, like I offered to pay. It was only like a $5 cab ride for like 3 minutes, 2 minutes or whatever. But I offered to pay him, and I had the $5 in my pocket, and he's just like, no, it's free. And I'm like, well, thank you. So that was really nice of him. And so like there are times where like, something nice happens.
There
and
really
like,
should be a universal discount on
yes!
anything.
Yeah.
Uber,
Yeah.
I've
taxi,
been saying for
train,
years,
everything.
especially with like Uber and
Yeah,
like public
especially
transport.
If Uber should, and like that's a thing that could be like government subsidized.
Yeah.
Like, why can't
People who can't drive.
if they were like fill out an application and send it in
I'd do that.
to verify your status as a disabled Uber rider,
Yeah, who
and
can't
like
drive on
you
their
pay
own.
less and then the driver gets paid the same amount because of the subsidy, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would make
should,
me use Uber way more.
imagine if they like calculated it so that Uber would be like not marked up from like an average car insurance payment and gas and whatever, some economist could figure out how much it costs per mile for the average American to drive a car, and then apply that same price per mile to Uber passengers who would have a disability,
Yeah.
so that it would cost any of us the same amount to travel as
able-bodied person with a
any
car.
sighted person
Yeah.
driving a car. Imagine it. I could just go get in the car and go to work and then come home like a real
Yeah.
person. But if I got a job somewhere, I would probably pay 70% of my wages for the day to get there and back. Mm-hmm. Because, Uber, big markup,
Yeah.
big shame.
And like if they did that, if any rideshare did that, like I'd use them way more, and it would be amazing. And like it wouldn't be as much freedom, obviously, as an able-bodied person who can drive, but like
it wouldn't feel as bad.
yeah, exactly, because you would just just as I would be like, hey Ma, can you drive me somewhere? I'd be like, hey Uber, can you drive me somewhere? So it'd be the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just instead of having to having to at least feel like I was like taking up my mom's time, I would be hiring someone basically to
Yeah,
drive me.
and there's a certain psychological component too to being able to pick a destination and then
Yes.
go there of your own volition, as
Yeah.
opposed to having to like get Hunter to pick you up from the train station or drive you to a doctor's appointment or whatever.
Although something that I have noticed though, there are two bus stops near my house. One of them isn't a mainstream stop, and so the buses aren't used to stopping there, to pick people up. So I have to walk like 15 minutes ish to the bus stop that is, a mainstream stop that people that they like are consciously aware of all the time. And I don't mind that 15-minute walk. That's the same walk I take to get to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But and so like the fact that I can do that walk, so if someone isn't available to drive me 3 minutes down the road, it like makes me a lot more likely to take up an offer than I used to be. Like, because where I used to live had no public transit at all. So if someone wasn't able to drive me somewhere, like, and I had plans or I wanted to make plans, I'm fucked. Like my plans are just nope. And so it actually stopped me from making plans because I felt like a burden. I'm like, why bother doing anything if I'm gonna be so like whether I was doing it or not, like I felt like I was inconveniencing people, because like what?
Andrew.
Awesome.
See you degenerate league player.
See ya.
But I was saying, oh yeah. So I like regardless of whether I was I felt like a burden, and especially like there were times where the person I was asking for a ride from was also going there. Like if my sister was going to the theaters and I wanted to see a different movie than she did, I'm like, cool, can I come? I want to see The Martian. Or like when we went to college at the same time, we like tried to sync up our schedules as best we could or whatever. But anytime that it was just me wanting to go somewhere, for the most part, I'm like, I just won't do it because why? And so the fact that now, like, although being driven is very much a convenience, that's all it is. It doesn't stop me from going to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or taking the bus to get here. I just it's just hey, like it'll make it easier on me, and this person's offering, and it's not that much out of their way, and they're like I said, they're offering, and then so I don't feel bad because because I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm making them feel obligated to help me,
Right.
And it's really it's really helped my psychological health because I was a very angry late teens, early 20s individual because of my lack of control over my life, and that's although it isn't perfect, having the ability it's funny because these guys living in a different state now, it's easier to visit them than it was when they shared my state.
That's a nice thing about nice thing. That's a bad thing about American public transit, is that unless the place you're going to or starting from is one of America's fucking 4 big enough cities, you don't just take the train from point A to point B.
Yeah.
You take
Walk
bus
there.
A to point B, then train A to point C, then bus B back to point A, then bus B again, then train 7, then you go in a big, it's like a
Yeah.
It's like a kaleidoscope.
I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh wait, were there any new questions in the chat?
No, there were not.
No, okay.
Nope.
Ooh.
Oh, are we still on camera? Or are we? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay.
Full pencil theory. But yeah, like, is it the way things are right now? Yeah. So like I try not to complain, like, because like I
You
don't.
okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Like I personally I try not to complain to able-bodied people because one, like most of them won't understand, and if they even listen in the first place.
I mean, what's
As,
the
like-
point of the stream if not to complain, though?
Yeah, well that's why I'm here. But like
No,
What was I
the
gonna say?
keyboard.
Like-
Somewhere that I can reach.
Cause like a lot of people I talk to, a lot of able-bodied people are like, well, like you have this, so like you just gotta deal with it. And I'm like, I understand that it's just the way it is, but I just would like to vent because like I know things can be better because they're better in other countries.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, here I sit in my air-conditioned basement on set doing a live stream. Like, everything could be so much worse.
Oh yeah.
But, doesn't change the fact that there are certain freedoms and capabilities that are denied for sometimes physical reasons and sometimes like arbitrary reasons of social construct.
Usually that one.
That's worth talking about.
Is it like actually yeah, like something I forgot to mention earlier. Even technology is the latter because like for example, I personally am a braille reader. I love my Focus 40 over here. He is my baby. I love him very much. But the people at Apple are not braille readers, and so like for example, braille is able to distinguish between italics, underlined, and bold, but because they haven't taught VoiceOver how to do that, I can't use that on my phone, and it's really frustrating. And I've told them about it before, but they haven't done anything about it, because one, they're Apple, and two, like they although a lot of blind people use their products, most of them aren't disabled or blind or braille readers, and they don't put any effort or a lot of effort. And granted, like they've gotten a lot better.
I would love to see statistics about how many blind people use braille.
Unfortunately, it's like from what I understand, like blind kids who are taught braille is like 10%, and like that's like granted, a lot of blind people nowadays are multi-disabled, so like some people aren't physically able to read it, such as yourself.
I was gonna say my hand is numb, so I can't read braille.
I mean, like you can read like door signs and stuff, but as a leisure activity, like you can take the hand that can feel and go, that's room 1, Like if you study it enough, you can memorize the first 10 letters of the alphabet.
Yeah, no, I know, I do.
But I'm not shaming at you. I'm just saying like you are physically
kind of
able
are.
to
It's
do
okay
that.
though.
But what really bothers me about the braille thing is that like I have usable vision. Can I physically read print? A little bit, yes. If it's an average 12-point font or whatever. Can I do it for a long period of time? Fuck no. And so like I'm super, because what happened for me, I got really lucky because my first braille teacher knows, I won't say exactly who, but she understood from secondhand experience the impact braille has on a person, even if they're not completely blind. And she explained that to my mother, and so my mother agreed for me to be taught braille from age 3 up. I mean, according to my teacher, because I'm friends with her on Facebook, I technically started learning at age 5, but I was exposed to just the concept of braille and up to my tactile sense and all that stuff when I was age 3, and I do remember a little bit of that, which is really cool. My first ever memory is the Perkins Brailler, which is the typewriter for braille, just slamming down on all the keys till you hear the bell, just ding, and I'm like, oh, I love that sound. And just doing it over and over again, and I still that sound is still the sound of happiness in my brain. But the fact that so many blind people are deprived from learning Braille, like if they have a teeny bit of vision, really annoys me, because like the way it was explained to my mother was that, like, even if it isn't her primary mode of reading as when she's older, at least she has it in her toolbox. And who knows, maybe it will be her primary mode, because things are always easier to learn when you're young. And like, we don't fully understand what her vision is right now, because I was 3 or like under. And so like, I'm so grateful, because there are times where I prefer to listen to things. There are times where I can't read it in Braille. And then there are times where it's like, I really want to read this. This is a really good story. I want to take the time to actually read it. Or like I spell in Braille. Like like when I'm thinking of a word, I break it down into the Braille contractions, and I can feel the Braille under my fingers. And so like, for me, like, I'm super grateful that I was taught Braille, because like, it's such, for me, it's such a primary tool in my life.
It's a very important teaching tool to, like, it's hard to like teach the alphabet of letter glyphs to a child who might not actually be able to see them.
Yeah, well, like I was almost held back in preschool, because they kept teaching me the sighted people way and not the blind people way, like, and and so like my parents had to work really hard with me on like money, I believe it was, and because they were teaching me wrong, because they didn't understand my my vision. I didn't understand my vision. It was like my Braille teacher, because I grew up around sighted people. My Braille teacher had to specifically teach me not to look at things and feel them, because I have enough vision where I can sort of do that, and because I was around people who did that, that was just my default, even though it was harder for me. And so once I learned about like other senses and that I can do things more easily, I was like, what? Unfortunately though, Braille, like, I learned it with my teacher, but I wasn't disencouraged to learn it, but I wasn't encouraged to use it in school, like, until I was like 13 or 12ish, when I started using it for spelling tests. But like I was taught to read with a pencil. I was given math problems on paper. I was given print books to read, and actually even like I used audiobooks until I was about 10ish, because like no one in my family other than myself learned Braille. No one even bothered learning the alphabet. And so like, because sorry,
I said same.
Yeah. And so because I wasn't exposed to it at home, I didn't see it as an option for leisure. I wasn't shown it could be a leisure thing. For me as a kid, it was like, it was cool to learn, and like I really liked it, but I didn't see it as anything outside of my lessons with my teacher. And like, my mom told me recently that like I was actually like not up to speed when my teacher got switched when I was about 12, and I was actually like, my second teacher was like, does she still need Braille? And my mom pushed her into keeping me up, and that, I believe that must have been why she asked me like what I like to read, because at that point I hadn't read any book that I chose, and so I started reading the series Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket, and I was like that's because I was forced to read actually read a book in Braille. Like I was like, I can like read for leisure. And I remember, I can picture so many times, because for those who don't know, Braille books, the bookmark is a string that's attached to the cover of the book, and you just pull it down through the pages and it hangs down. And there were so many times where I would like fall asleep reading, with the book on my knee, like on my legs, and end up like, turning over in my bed, and the book would end up like face down between the book, or I guess like binder up, I guess, between the wall on my bed and the bookmark string would fall out, so I'd have to find my place again. I'm just like, no. But I got away with so much late night reading after like around that age, because I wanted to read, and I was shown that it could be leisure, and I'm like, and unfortunately I still wasn't shown like anything from my family in terms of trying to learn Braille at all, but at least I was shown that it could be leisure. And then once I got into college, I realized like, wait a minute, I remember things better if I read them. like word for word, like yeah, because like if I listen to things, I can remember the concept and I can remember what I imagine in my head, but in terms of okay, doing music, but like in terms of remembering things word for word or like analyzing the language, I wasn't super good at that because I like wasn't paying enough attention to the exact wording of things. And so once I started like reading things in Braille a lot more and using it to study, I was like, whoa, this is like, my sense of touch is way more like attached to my memory than any of my other senses. And ever since then, like I've worked really hard to improve my reading speed, still working on that because I can get better. I've hit a plateau, but I can get better and I will. And like I'm just really grateful that I had that realization because it's like really helped me improve my memory and just my enjoyment of my leisure time. And it's like it's been a really fun ride. Like actually, Alex, like what's your experience with like 'cause you told me you don't use it all the time, but like what's your experience with learning Braille? Well,
when I was 14, I went blind, and they hooked me up with a Braille teacher in high school, and I spent, an hour a week or something doing Braille lessons.
Whoa!
What does that noise mean?
Stream Elements, please.
Hi
tell
guys,
me.
you're wonderful.
Thank
Keep
you.
on streaming.
Thank you.
aw, thanks.
Will do.
This is
We'll
fun.
keep on streaming.
Yeah, if you're here.
Don't seem to have a Stream Elements notification
Stream
for
Elements is supposed to tell us who you are.
for
Who said that?
that direct donation.
Oh, thank
you.
Oh,
That was a $10 donation. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it.
Aw,
And I
thank you
don't know.
Thank you for feeding my friends.
Yeah, I don't know if your PayPal name is doxing you, so I'm not going to say it out loud. But thank you so much.
Yes.
Oh, it is.
Wait.
Ah.
Hi, Bobby.
Oh, well, what do you know?
Bobby, my sister's in chat. Hi, Bobby.
But I would take like an hour a week. I would get a class period
My sister's
where I
in
would go and take a
chat.
Braille
My
class.
sister's in chat. I'm so surprised. Hi.
Okay, kid.
This is cool. Well, like I sent her a link to a couple of our last couple streams, and like I wasn't sure if she'd show up. She's here. That's really cool. Hi. Bye.
And I learned it. I learned grade 1, which is just the alphabet, and then
Yeah,
I
and
learned a
push
lot
button.
of grade 2, which is like a contracted alphabet that is a lot denser.
Yeah. So it's
But
like
ultimately, like at the same time, because I was just in the process of going blind, I was in like freshman and sophomore and junior year, and I went blind in freshman year. At the same time as I was learning Braille, I was learning how to use VoiceOver and like operate an iPhone. And I just, the iPhone was the more convenient way to interact with the world around me. I just have not found that Braille is particularly useful in my day-to-day life. I think that Braille is really valuable. I think that it's more valuable as a way to teach the alphabet tactily than as like a way to interact with the world on a day-to-day basis.
for me it just makes me really happy. I just have a different interaction with literature than I do when I listen to it, because like one of my biggest issues, I love audiobooks, but unless it's either a really good book or like for example Der kleine Drachen, like it's a German book where I need to pay attention to the words or else I don't understand it, like I get lost in my own head and suddenly it's 5 minutes into the book and I have no idea what just happened. And so but not only does reading Braille, like reading something in Braille, like help me interact with it more intimately and really like understand the vocabulary and everything, and like just to touch it. I like to touch it, but I like to
Rubs
touch.
Braille
I
display
like to
vigorously.
touch it. It makes me really happy, but like I think I think also like if my brain had islands of personality, Braille would definitely like there'd be a literacy island, and like Braille would be like the centerpiece of it. Because like I think like it's just something that like speaks to my happiness, because like I said, like my first ever memory that I have is my Perkins Brailler, which I still have in my room to this day. It still has the SpongeBob stickers I put on it. Like, no, because when I believe it was when I was like between 7 and like 9, because I know what school I was in, so I know like around what age I was, and it was when I was learning the contractions, and whenever I would get, make a lot of progress, my teacher would give me a sticker, and I remember very vividly wondering where to put it. I'm like, cause like I don't, I want to know where it's here, and I put it right on the Perkins, and and all 4 of them are still there to this day, and like, I love it. So like I totally understand people who don't read Braille for leisure. I understand that reading things it's just like sighted people. It's like it's just easier to listen to them. But for me, and there are things that I can't listen to, or that I can't read. Like I can't understand Shakespeare if I listen or if I read it, but if I listen to it, especially if it's a play form like it was meant to be, I can follow it much more easily, because I think with listening to things, because speech is so varied but I can still understand it, I think my brain's like preparing it for more variety of ways of saying things, and so it's better at like translating it to like actual English, whereas like when I'm reading something, I'm waiting for it to be proper. It's part of the reason why I have trouble reading accents in books, because it messes with the contractions. So like for those who don't know, like if you have in comma, when if you say going instead of going, you can't use the ing contraction because the G is missing. And my brain, just because I usually see going, will get ready to see ing, just the 3, 4, and 6. So when I see in comma, like I understand what I read, but my brain gets temporarily confused, and so like although I've gotten a lot better at it, like it's something that like really affects me. And it's not super annoying, because I don't read many books where characters have heavy accents, and they're also just hard to write also, so that I don't think a lot of authors do it. But it's just like it's one of those things that's easier to listen to, But Ryan, what about you though? What's your relation?
I mean, I have a very close relationship with Braille, because that was my whole childhood. And I mean, I used a Braille display a lot in college to be able to use my phone while in a lecture. But since then, I don't use it a lot. I'd prefer to just use a QWERTY keyboard if I'm going to type a long thing. I mean,
they do have ones that have a QWERTY keyboard.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I don't know how I like feel about Braille in my current day-to-day life. I don't use it, but I sure do know it.
I think we talked about this, but like you think spelling in Braille too, right?
Yeah. I as far as I can tell, I think spelling in Braille.
Yeah.
As it's pretty subconscious, but
yeah, and it's really funny, like because. And I told Ryan this, and I think I told Alex, but I'll tell you all on the internet, is like, I didn't realize till recently that, like, if I'm spelling out a word for somebody, I say it in, like, it's very subtle. I don't, like, have long breaks, but, like, if I say, for, for example, nation, I'll go N-A-T, or, yeah, I'll go, N-A-T-I-O-N. I'll like the T-I-O-N, because it's a contraction in Braille, I say it slightly faster.
Elemento.
Yeah, or and it's funny because I don't do it with contractions like receive that are RCV, obviously, because that's not a spelling.
That's a whole word contraction, not it.
But like the partial word contractions,
there's an N, there's an A, there's a T-I-O-N.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And those are the 3 parts of that word.
Yeah. And I mean, it's 4 cells, but like my brain sees it as 3 chunks.
Yeah.
And so like, and because I read the TION faster than sighted people would read, I presume would read the letters, just the letters, that, my brain just says it slightly faster, because it's like, it's like erasers, E-R-A-S-E-R, or sorry, actually, so it'd be E-R-A-S-A, or wait, brain. So it would be E-R-A-S-E-R.
This is how I spell, misspells.
Yeah, I don't know, but
me too, incorrectly.
Yeah, yeah, but it's just funny because like it's something I just didn't notice, and I don't think anybody else noticed, because it's a really subtle thing that I do. But actually, on the subject of spelling, Alex, thanks for bringing that up. The other thing that really improved once I started reading for leisure around age 12 is my spelling. Like my spelling was never atrocious. Like people could understand what I was writing, but like aside for spelling tests, because I never read anything because it was too exhausting, like my spelling was not very good in comparison to afterwards. And there are certain contractions that like for example receive that like that I had trouble spelling until recently, and those are very few and far between. They're usually contractions that just don't show up very often. That I'm like, how do I spell that word? I don't know. But
I can't spell shit.
Really?
You know what? That
How
might
do
not
you-
be entirely true. I think I could probably spell shit if I had to. But like, I am not a talented spellinger.
Spelling her.
But it's like it's really interesting, like looking back on my history with Braille in retrospect, and like I got really lucky because like a lot of people with the amount of vision I have aren't taught Braille, and they like look at things like this, and they're like, man, I have a headache after reading a book, and then they like if they like to read things and they can't use audiobooks or whatever, they're like, wait a minute, like why wasn't I taught Braille when I was little? It's a similar thing for the deaf people who aren't taught sign language. They're taught sign later in life, and they're just like, I can communicate without getting a headache. What the fuck? Like, it's like super cool. And it also like really pisses me off though, as I said, because like a lot of people like could benefit from Braille, like if not with reading for leisure, just in their daily lives, and their parents or their like humans who are defining like what they're gonna be learning in school are just like, nah, they have a little pinprick of vision, let's not let's not have them learn Braille because they won't need it, and then they end up falling behind in school because they can't keep up with their peers.
Yeah, like I said, I don't really interact with Braille, but because I can't. Even if I could, I can't feel my right hand. So it would be very inconvenient for me to read. So there's not a lot of opportunities for me to interact with it in my day-to-day life. But it's an incredibly important, like I keep saying, teaching tool that should just be how they teach any kid with vision problems of any kind the alphabet.
I also love it because it was made by a blind guy, which like a lot of my issues with blind people stuff is because they're not made by blind people.
Louis Braille's life story reads like a comic book.
Right?
Like,
It so
he had a
does.
showdown with an army guy where they each had their own version of Braille, and his was better when he was 9 or some
He was
shit.
15.
He's an anime character.
Yeah. Well, because like for those who don't know, Braille is based off a code called night writing, which was created by Charles Barbier. Charles Barbier, who was I believe a captain in the Napoleon army during the Napoleonic Wars, and he brought it to
He
the
was
Royal.
night writing. It's a Braille cell with 64 dots or
No,
whatever.
well, like Braille is 2x6 and or 2x3, and night writing is 2x 12, I believe. Yeah. So it was twice as big. But Barbier brought it to the Royal Institute of Blind Youth, where Louis was a student, because he got a scholarship because he's smart. Like he just learned at his village school by ear, and they were like, "You're really smart. We'll get you a scholarship," and so they did. And Louis realized this is what we need, because up until that point, the literacy for Braille for blind people had been just print letters who are ginormous, and they're like, we can't distinct between all these little differences, and it's it takes us forever just to feel one word, and our books are ginormous. And Louis saw the dots and was like, we need dots, but these aren't perfect. And he worked for 3-4 years non-stop to do it, and unfortunately it wasn't accepted. It was accepted by the school eventually, but unfortunately he didn't live long enough for it to be accepted by France, let alone the world, because he died. like a lot of students at the school, he contracted tuberculosis and died 2 days after his 43rd birthday. Thankfully, eventually, 100 years after he died, they disinterred him from the cemetery in his hometown of Coufle, and leaving his hands behind in the town, brought him to the Pantheon, where he now rests. And it's amazing. And I was like, what I really want to know about Louis is what drove him, what behaviors did he have that drove his friends crazy and like his family crazy? Because rightfully so. The way we tell his story, he's like, a saint, and he's basically the blind, like the saint of the blind, sort of, or at least one of them. But he was also a person, and so I'd really, really love to know, what little quirks he had, other than obviously being a workaholic, because holy shit, what little things did he do that made his friends just go oh, Louis, would you just stop it? I want to know. I want to know so bad. That'd just be really, really fun. But it's one of my dreams to go to Paris and go to Couplet, because his house is now a museum, and visit those places. And I wrote a poem about Braille when I was 17. It's still one of the favorite things I've written. Is really nice. I wrote it in one sitting, and it hasn't been altered since. It's really nice. I love my dots. My dots make me happy. My dots. The only thing I don't like about needing a Braille display is that because Braille books are expensive, and so I usually rent them from the library. But the one thing I get books from from the phone, obviously, so I could listen to them, but I choose to read them a lot of the time. But the one thing that bothers me about needing to use my Braille display is I can't bring it. I normally can't use it on public transit because it's too bumpy, and I'm worried about this really expensive keyboard falling off my lap. But I also can't bring it to the beach because expensive keyboard plus sand equals big no-no. So I don't do that.
I feel like at this point...
Thank you.
What?
I'm sorry, continue.
Oh. You're welcome. Okay, we'll continue now. I feel like at this point, common blind technology shouldn't be thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good point.
A Braille display was really, really revolutionary technology in the early 2000s and late 90s.
Actually, I think they were invented in the 80s. Actually.
Yeah, but nowadays, I mean, it's a moving dots, moving pegs, and a fucking circuit board.
But it doesn't. They don't need to cost.
They don't need
the
to cost
price of a brand new Mac.
I'm just lucky the government paid for this for me.
Yeah.
And now that I've graduated
that's the only
college,
reason that they cost. The only reason that they cost that much is because state commissions for the blind have deals with manufacturers whereby they get to set an arbitrary price, and it literally works like the healthcare industry, where it's if you have the government to buy you the $4,000 thing, that's awesome, but get fucked if you're not enrolled in the state commission for the blind.
Mm-hmm. Which I haven't met a blind, at least a blind youth, or actually not even a blind adult who wasn't. But
I don't. I'm not.
But you were though, right?
I was. Yeah,
exactly.
But I don't know. I didn't find them to be particularly helpful. I didn't find them to be helpful enough that it was worth every piece of assistive technology being incredibly expensive and crappily built. I play card games. And when I play card games, I can't read the cards. There was a wonderful magical accessibility device called a pen friend, where you could put a little sticker on a thing, and then when you tap the sticker with the pen, it would read a recording that was tied to that individual sticker. So I would put stickers on my card, and then I would tap the card and wear a pair of headphones, and it would read the name of the card to me through the headphones. But they had the build quality of a $1 radio where like it is weightless and then you put batteries in it and suddenly it's like, wow, this thing has some heft to it. And they would break after like 2-3 weeks because they were so shoddily built. They would just suddenly, it won't turn on anymore. Why? I've had it for too long. It's broken. $175.
Yeah.
And for $175, like the batteries were the whole weight of the thing. But for $175, it should have been made of metal, not plastic, and I should have charged it by putting it in a charging dock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Instead, I get this crappy Happy Meal toy because there's no reason for there to be any competition among companies that make stuff for the blind because you can just get one for free. But then, the first pen trend I got from the commission, and it was free. They were like, I was like, this device looks wonderful for me. And they were like, here you go. And they got it for me. And 2 weeks later, it broke. And I said, it broke. And they said, but we already bought you one of those. And I said, I know, it's a piece of crap. And it broke right away. I need another one. And they said, no. And I said, well, I guess this isn't my hobby anymore. And I now still play card games, but I just play them open-handed. So I play at a significant disadvantage. And I know that technology exists that could make it so that I don't have to play at that significant disadvantage anymore. But it's too expensive and not built well enough.
Well, like there are iPhone apps that you could just put your card in front of the camera and it'll
It's
read
just
it.
too many hands.
I have to do the whole process with just my left hand. I can't hold a hand of cards and hold my phone at the same time. I am not able to do that.
I mean, like I'm thinking of because whenever I play Uno with my family, like I always put up a little barrier so I can put the cards on the table, and I could totally see it. Like for example, I never liked playing Pokemon because Bobby, would cheat because I would use my CCTV, which is, for those who don't know, and it's got a board under it, it's got a camera about so I can look at what's on the board, and a big monitor, and a bunch of buttons so you can zoom in, zoom out, there's a little line screen.
It's a big goofy magnifier.
Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
It's nice, I liked it. I had one at home.
That was designed in a world before everyone just had an iPhone.
Yeah, but anyway, I would use that to read the cards, and then she would, cheat, because, I had no other options. I was trusting her to look away, because, not being, meanie. And then she would look at it, and she'd know what card I had, and so I stopped playing. But, so nowadays I put a barrier whenever I play cards, which is rare, because you were cheating. But, what was I thinking? Oh yeah. So now, whenever I play any sort of card game, I put up a little barrier and I put the cards on the table. But if I wanted to play Pokemon again, I would totally be willing to just, separate one card from the rest and look at them and everything. Would it be time consuming? Yes, but if people are willing to play a card game with me, that's just that's gonna have to be done. But
Is it just me, or was there nobody in the house at all the entire day, and then the minute we started streaming, there was a stampede up there?
I mean, not a stampede, but someone's been up there.
There's activity.
Right. But on the subject though of technology, because I love this guy. I've had to get him sent. I've had to get him repaired a couple times. Only one of which I had to pay for because it was when I was in college. One time actually, I actually had to get him sent back twice because they when I called Freedom Scientific, I told them about a problem I'd had, and they didn't they fixed another problem, but they didn't fix the one that I told them to. So they offered, because they saw that it was in the chart when I called them, and so they expedited it and fixed it real quick.
I haven't looked into Freedom Scientific, but I bet the CEO of Freedom Scientific is related to someone.
Freedom Scientific. Freedom
Well, actually,
for the right price.
It's Vespero now. Actually,
What?
I think they merged with Vespero. But anyway,
I don't know.
But anyway, what I wanted
companies.
to talk about was the one thing. Like I love Blue. I call him Blue for short because he's the Focus 40 Blue Braille display. I have another one who's small, so I call him Ed. And that one I also got free from the state. So yay. But the one thing that bothers me about this, and this is the main reason why I can't use Blue in public transit, if you could see, the case is just that. It's just a case that he rests in. And what bothers me about it is that and that Ed doesn't do is that, like, with Ed, the case is like built around it, so like you have access to all the buttons and all the little ports and all that from inside the case. And so if you like with the strap on, you can stand up and he, like Ed'll stay in his case and you can use him and he's totally chill. And so like if I really want to read, I normally don't feel the need to read when I'm in the car just because I'm used to not having that option. And I don't dislike Ed, but he's my backup because he's smaller and he doesn't have a lot of fancy buttons that Blue has. But if I want to read and when I'm nervous about like the turny and the floopy of the car, like what I like about Ed is I can put him around my neck, so like if there is a tight turn, he won't fall on the floor. He just turns with me, and then I just put him back in the middle of my lap and continue what I'm doing, and is real nice. And I wish I could do that with Ed, and I was really disappointed actually because I bought a case from Freedom Scientific that I was told on the phone would do what I thought it would do, and like I don't know what department, like maybe there's a disconnect or whatever, but it didn't do the thing. But
I was gonna say, yeah, they told you, anything that they could tell you that would make you get off the phone.
But here's the thing though, like although I'm disappointed that the case didn't work, what I did appreciate was because I was trying to buy a longer charger cord for Blue because like the one that I had, it's meant for the computer, for like when you're plugging into the computer, and I wanted the longer one so I could use him like when I'm on the opposite side of my bed so I can charge him and everything. And I didn't realize that the charger that was on the website was for an older generation.
But it's just a USB micro cable. You can buy him anywhere.
Yeah.
Why are we getting the Freedom Scientific website involved in buying USB micro cables?
Well, I didn't know. I'm not techie like you. I didn't know all that stuff. But here's the thing though. What I really like though is that because one, the case didn't work, and two, the cord wasn't what I thought it was. I sent all that back for free because free matter for the blind, huzzah. And they sent the cord that I wanted back for free, and they refunded me all of that stuff. So I only paid what I paid for the cord, which was.
I don't want to know how much that cord costs.
It was worth it.
Definitely not.
I don't want to know the number because it'll make me angry.
It was worth it. And either way, I'm gonna use it forever.
I hope it wasn't more than $10, but I bet it was like $70.
Nah. Either way, I realized I could have bought it somewhere else, but I didn't want to, I felt that because I didn't know what type of cord it was, and I'm always worried that if it doesn't work from a corporate thing, that it's gonna be a pain in the ass to return it and get another one. And I'm like I've worked with these cords for years. They're nice and built well, and because I know I had a 6-foot cord originally, but I must have lost it. I think I put it in the case at some point, and then it fell out or whatever. But that it's really nice having a nice long cord now, because now I can use Blue whenever and wherever I want, and it's nice.
I'm hungry.
I was gonna say, I would kind of like to eat dinner an hour ago. This is a great conversation. This is a great stream.
I'm hungry.
But I think that we're coming to the natural conclusion here.
Okay.
But good shit.
Yeah.
Bobby came.
I like doing these.
Yeah, Bobby came, and we got our first questions.
We got questions.
We got money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a stream.
Yeah, right. We're doing good. And hey, like, if anybody, like, likes, who's here and likes our shit.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, and, like, share it with people, because, maybe they'll like it, too.
Tell your friends. Tell your grandma.
Click and like and
follow and subscribe and
smash
subscribe
that like
and smash
button,
and
like that
smash
smash
and
button.
like the smash and I don't know. I'm gonna pivot over to the OBS and we're gonna end it.
Blue says thank you for coming.